Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Daryl Show. How y'all doing this evening? It's a fine Sunday over here in the Queen City. Snow and ice on the ground. They canceled my run tonight, so ain't gonna be no driving for me. So how y'all doing? We came here, we have a special guest tonight. I just want to mention one thing first. 1 year tomorrow will be the 1 year anniversary of the Daryl Show. This is the very first, she's my very first guest in my new season. Well, yeah, she's my very first guest, so to speak, in my new season. Yes, I had guests last week, but last week was a little bit of a debacle. But we're here now. We got everything fixed. So we got Boss Lady in the background. So we're gonna celebrate tomorrow, the anniversary. But today we're gonna talk about business. We're gonna talk about the business of voting. We're talking about the business of leadership, and she's primed up, ready to go. So without further ado, Miss Royal Anderson. Welcome
Good
to the
evening.
Daryl Show. How are you?
I am blessed. I am. I
You
am
are,
blessed.
you are, you are. How you doing, boss lady? Miss in
Listen, I'm
charge?
absolutely. I'm gonna receive that. I'm gonna receive all of that. But
Okay.
I'm blessed because I'm here to stand the fight. So
Okay.
absolutely, I appreciate you having me on, and happy almost anniversary.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was I may replay parts of my first show tomorrow. I don't know yet. We're gonna see how this goes. But anyway, how you doing? First of all, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate your time and opportunity. I know we're limited for time today. I got the clock started. We got 40 minutes, so let's knock this on out. So let's start out by asking, who are you, where are you from, and how did you get to where you are today?
Okay, so I like when people ask that question because most people will describe themselves based on their profession or what they do out in the community. I
Right.
kind of like to describe myself off of my value system first and foremost.
Okay.
So, for example, I grew up in St. Louis and I
Mhm.
grew up in the hood and I grew up fighting. And in the midst of all that fighting, defending my cousin and sister and people like that, it taught me how to stand up for people, right?
Right, right.
I grew up sleeping on the floor for the most part. Most of my life, I slept on the floor.
Mhm,
Um, shared a blanket with my sister.
mhm.
I grew up around a lovely family, but we were poor, and that taught me about struggle and community.
Right, right.
Then I grew up playing sports.
Okay.
I even played semi-pro women's football in my 20s. I was a running back, and so
What?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely, I ran through there. I ran
O
through there.
okay.
But yeah, so that taught me hard work, teamwork and dedication, staying
Okay.
staying true to what you're doing. And then I like to also reference my military family. I grew up with a military family, and what they taught me is to love my country, and not just in words, but in responsibility, loving us as a country and doing my part as a citizen in this country. So
Okay.
those are kind of my values, and that's what built me to be the person I am today. And in essence, being brought up the way I was, that led me to become a registered nurse. I kind of went the long way. I started as a CNA,
Okay.
LPN, and I eventually landed as an RN. And I became a mother a little bit later in my 20s. And then after a while, I just became a activist out here in these streets.
Okay, okay. You sound okay, so you say you from St. Louis. I got family in St. Louis. My cousin, shout out to Brand. She sounds like St. You don't sound like St. Louis no more. When did you leave St. Louis?
Exactly. So I grew up military in my teenage years. So
Uh-huh.
I've been gone about 30 years.
Okay, so you got a little bit of everything in you.
Absolutely. I've lived in Alaska, Texas, the Carolinas, just been around the world a little bit
Okay, but St. Louis is still you still represent the Lou.
all day.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So we're gonna get right
All
into it. So you the boss lady. You the HNIC. We all know what that means. You in charge of Muscogee County of the Democratic Committee. Could you
Correct.
explain what the Muscogee County Democratic Committee is to everyone who may or may not know, and what you do?
Sure. So, absolutely. So, we are a committee of Democrats. When you become a member of our committee, you do sign on a dotted line saying that you are a voting Democrat and
Right.
that you stand with the values and principle that we represent. And so, our main purpose is to elect Democrats up and down the ballot first and foremost. And
Mhm.
in doing so, we also educate voters. We protect voters. We come together in unison sometime just to have a good time and talk things out as Democrats. There's the same values and whatnot.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, we're a bunch of Democrats that want to elect Democrats at the city level, county level, state, federal level. That's our main goal, is to get our folks in there to represent our values.
Okay. With you being the boss lady, how many times have you been elected boss lady of the committee?
So this is my first time holding the chair position. I actually just had my 1 year anniversary, and it's a
Okay.
2 year term. So I'm going into my second year strong,
Okay.
ready to win these midterms.
We're gonna talk about those midterms. I promise you we are.
Okay.
Okay, so with your election, like some of the so as I put, I sent you the the questions in the email and things like that. So what are some of the things that you've learned in the last year being a leader of the Democratic Committee in Muscogee County, Georgia?
Well, that's a loaded question.
Okay, so hold on. Before you say anything, let me explain to everybody. Okay, where I'm from a place, the demographics is about 46, 47% black, then about 39% white, then like 8% Latino, then you got everybody else mixed in there. So
Mhm.
we live in I'm from West Central Georgia, which is on the Chattahoochee River, right across the bridge is Alabama. So we have a lot of intermingling between two red states, but Georgia can be purple at times. Alabama hadn't been red, has been blue in a very long time. But we have a lot of intermingling between the states. So to know where we're from, to know our culture, you have to know where we're from. It's a lot of good old boys. Okay, we have a consolidated government there, so that means everything falls in line. There's no separate entity. So with that, with all of the information that I've given everybody, what have you learned in the last year?
Well, I've learned that treating people right. When people come to the door and want to do something on behalf of all this craziness going on in the world and in our country specifically,
Mhm.
I've learned that communicating with people effectively, treating them kind, um, making sure that they're able to put forth their best skills and make their contributions work for us. That matters. So learning how to work with people has been very valuable this year. As a registered nurse, I've always been a team leader, and so that just reminded me on a volunteer level that people, when you treat them right, they show up. And so we've had a lot of growth with volunteers coming into the committee this past year to serve at different capacities. So that's one thing that I've learned, is that people are ready to work. You just want to welcome them in and invite them in so they feel like a part of the things that we're doing. So that's one thing I've learned. And then the other one is that I've learned that we got a lot of haters. And what
And
that
we look,
means
we call
is,
balls and strikes over here. So you tell it how it is.
what
You tell
that
it how it
means
is.
is Yeah, and what that means is that if we weren't making noise, if we weren't making progress, then people wouldn't be trying to stop us in some of our efforts that we're doing out here in the community. So I was telling somebody earlier today at one of my meetings that I got a couple of fires to put out that are going on with around the committee that are in the way of us achieving various goals. But guess what? I will put those fires out and we will move forward. But absolutely, we've learned that people don't like when we get together and we start to be successful in our goals and
Right.
educating folks, mobilizing voters, activating our base, and voter volunteers and whatnot. So a lot of haters out here. I will
A
say
lot of
that.
haters out there. Okay, so the also one other part of the demographic in Columbus is the median age is in the 30s. Now I'm in my 40s. I don't know how old you are. I'm gonna say you're 27. I'm just gonna
I know
okay.
that's right.
So, but I'm a little bit older, and of course, I have children that live in Columbus, and I told my 20-year-old, I was like, hey, this is your fight now. We've already used up all resources that we have. Now it's being passed down to the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas. So, do you have a lot of young people that's coming out more, especially seeing that everything is happening right now?
Yeah. So we have an array of members. One of my favorite members that's active right now, his name is Cody Collier. He's our fundraising chair. He's 29 years old and he's
Okay.
dedicated. He
Hmm.
comes to the office every Tuesday night that we don't have a meeting, and he fundraise through the phone on our behalf.
Okay.
And so he inspires me so much because he's dedicated and he shows up and he's there when you ask him to come and whatnot. And then we have an event coming up, a gubernatorial forum that's coming up on March the 12th. Um, Details are coming out. We'll follow up with that very soon. But we have a gubernatorial forum, and the leaders on that is the CSU Collegiate 100. And this is the group of young men at the university um, that wanted to get involved with what we were doing. So we have them out front leading this forum. And we're going to have several of the candidates that are running for governor here in Columbus on March the 12th. And that allows us as Democrats and some other nonprofits as well in the community to work and lead our young people and bring them into the fold.
Okay. Okay. Let's go back to one part.
Collaboration,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
collaboration is very important.
It is. I know that we're going to talk about some of the Democratic candidates that's coming up for this midterm, but let's go back a little bit. As a nurse, how is it, or how does your first of all, are you still nursing?
So I retired around COVID time.
Okay, around COVID time, you gave it up. A lot of people. Okay,
Yes,
it was
I
hard
gave
work
that
during
up.
that time. It was hard work during that time. But
Absolutely.
the skills that you learn being a nurse, being an RN, particularly, well, just a nurse, LBN, RBN, CNA, all of them. Shout out to everybody. What have you what which one of your leadership skills transferred the most from nursing into the position you're in now?
Well, they're very parallel because, as a nurse, we care for folks, right?
Hmm.
As politicians, we care about the people that we serve, right?
Hmm.
Um, the
We
biggest thing that
should.
I can
We should.
we
Yeah, you
should. I
should.
can't
Yeah.
speak for everybody. I can't
Right.
speak for everybody, but
Right.
the real ones care about their
Right.
constituents, right?
Right. Right.
Then another parallel is that, we make critical decisions. So as
Right.
a nurse, making a decision that could be wrong can ultimately lead to someone's death.
Hmm.
And the same on the political side, making a bad decision, for example, not to feed children in
Right.
our state
Right.
in the summertime can lead to the death of, children because of the lack of nutrition that they receive. So things like that. There are some parallels to nursing and to politics. And I take them for what they were. When I was a nurse, I was definitely um, engaged, and I made sure I made the right decisions, and I cared about every patient individually. And the same here, if a constituent wants to talk to me about a topic and whatnot, and we may disagree, but I'm going to hear them out and have a cordial conversation, and we agree to disagree maybe, but also, just make sure I give them that respect. And also, if they need a resource, me connecting them to the right person to make sure that they can get access to the resource.
Okay. Okay. So so I have a question. So last week and last year also I had my brother Gamaliel Turner, Major Turner on. And of course, you know him from around the city, you know him and his vote being stolen by the Mr. Alton Russell and all of those over there. On the other side, his vote was stolen and it was challenged and things like that. Unjustly. There was no reason for it. It just happened. And it's just something that they do. And our man, Greg Palast, he put out a documentary talking about it. Vigilantes Inc. If anybody would like to see it, it's on YouTube free of charge. Just put it on and watch it. It's very informative. So with all of that, a lot of the voter roll was purged. So I'd like to know, with all of that taking place, what is it that you guys are doing now to combat that these days?
So, first, the 4,000 folks that he had removed and challenged, only two of those people had actually moved out of the state.
Okay.
So that's that. And then earlier last year, the Secretary of State also purged almost 500,000 voters out of Georgia
Georgia
as well.
period. Yeah. Hmm.
Period, right? So those are two things that happened. Um, recent as of recent. But as far as us as Democrats, so we have representation at the elections board when they have their board meeting. We have our Democratic representative that's there,
Right.
and then I also have my voter protection crew that go to these meetings as well. And
Okay.
I'm literally literally in talks with my folks about making sure that Nancy Boren and the election folks understand that we're not going to tolerate this mess this year. And so we're having that dialogue now on what that looks like. And do you all understand your job when this man or whoever shows up and say that they want to challenge the voter rolls? So I want to know what all that looks like by the law, and what their job is and what we can do before May gets here. We don't want to wait till May. We want to be prepared. We don't want to be reactive. So that's priority on my list. I'm actually meeting with our voter protection chair tomorrow to discuss this very issue.
Okay.
Make
Good,
sure we're not gonna have this happen under my watch.
that was a tizzy. And the crazy part was I found out about it just scrolling YouTube. I just found out about scrolling YouTube. I'm like, oh. And then they started mentioning Columbus, Georgia. I was like, what? Let me turn this up a little bit. Okay. And speaking of May is primary season, primary time. Are you ready?
Oh boy. Are the candidates ready? That's the question.
Okay.
Because they have to run their campaigns. We are here to support them and also activate voters, but they have to be ready. And so it's important, the people that step up to run for office, that they have a plan in place to be successful. You're not running for fun, you're running to be successful.
Right.
So that the things that you're telling the constituents you're going to do, you can actually be elected and get in there and do those things. So, but as far as a committee, we always ready. We're not going anywhere. We are a pillar in the community. We have a local office, which is close to Lake Bottom on 13th Street, in the middle of the city. So it has access from the north and the south. People can come out of office at any time during our business hours. But yeah, we gonna stay ready, because when the state candidates come through here, we're gonna make sure we support them and make sure that they get their voters engaged when they come. But my thing is that we're here specifically to support our local candidates here in Columbus, Georgia, because it's interesting how politics work here. As you know, everybody runs under a nonpartisan banner for the most part. But I'll tell you something interesting. So back in 2024, I ran for coroner.
Right.
And as the coroner, you have to mark a D or an R. You cannot, right? That's a state law. So you would think that it wouldn't matter that the coroner going out to pronounce someone deceased and find out what happened.
Right.
It don't matter what you're affiliated with. So it's so backwards to me, whereas city councilor that's going to represent you, you want to know their value system, and actually they do have a value system. They just choose not to publicize that. Right. I'm privy to accessing every voter's record here in Georgia. So I can see how I could be talking to you and checking how you vote while I'm talking to you, right?
Right.
So I'm privy to that information, as well as other chairs in the state of Georgia. And all over the country, we have this system where we can check your voting record. That being said, so we have the nonpartisan label that people like to hide underneath and not really show their affiliation with either party. And and Democrats have done that as well, to their detriment, really, because we're a Democratic stronghold. And if they would literally come out and say, hey, I'm a Democrat, you're not going to lose your race, because Democrats are going to support you alongside of their value system.
Right.
So it's just for the longest time, people have not wanted to say it out loud who they're affiliated with, to the detriment of Democrats again, because the Republicans are the ones who have to hide under that label. They're the ones who have to trick Democrats to vote for them, because if a Democrat knows you're a Republican, especially a MAGA Republican right now, they're not fooling with you.
Right. Amen. Speaking of which,
some of them, go ahead. Oh, go
ahead.
No,
go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
I was just going to say, and even some of the Republicans who have good sense are taking a break from their own party and joining us out here, to get things, we got to rectify and straighten our country out. So even some decent, critically thinking Republicans are aligning with us this year.
Here's a question for you. Brother Turner wants to know, how do we change that? And everybody, we're open for questions. So just put your questions in the comments and we'll make sure she gets it. I promise you. So we're open for questions. So he wants to know, how do we change that?
So if we're talking about the nonpartisan label, is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
So that's written into the Constitution, if you will. That's a rule. That's a law.
In
that
Georgia,
they go
yeah.
by. But in Georgia, that's what they go by. But there's no rule to say, you can say, I'm a Democrat running in a nonpartisan race for
Hmm.
District 7, for District 3. And I've been encouraging them to do so, Democrats specifically, encouraging them to do so, so that people know what your value system is. You want to take care of the schools, right? You want to make sure people have access to health care. You want to make sure that people have livable wages. You have all these values that we stand for, and you saying you're nonpartisan, you're hiding those things about yourself in essence. So it's really just teaching them, because
Hmm.
they've never had a chair come in and say, we're not going to sit back and let the nonpartisan races just happen. We're going to engage in them, and we're going
Hmm.
to support those folks that declare themselves as Democrats, and whatever we can do to get their names out and support them, we're going to do that. We're not going to just sit back and let fate happen or whatever. We're going to fight to get the Democrats elected. So this is a new thing for our committee that I'm pushing them to understand, that we're not silent at home or at the grassroots level. No more are we silent when it comes to elections here. We're going to speak out.
Well, you know what I've noticed over the years, especially when it comes to Democrats. Democrats are very they're principled. They're very principled, but they're quiet in their principles. And the other side, because I told you off camera, I'm more of independent, but I'm very smart with my vote. I'm not going to, if I see that this dog has no chance of winning, you're not going to get my vote. Just simple as that. So after that, I'm going to choose the person who's closest. If I can get 7 out of 10 things that I vote for, because I don't really see the issue. I don't really see the point of somebody being a one issue voter. That makes zero sense.
Right.
If you just, it
Exactly.
makes no sense at all. So if I could get 7 out of 10, and I just pray about the other three, that's all I can do. But me being as a believer, I really think that people take too much pressure. I mean, I think people place too much in the government's hand. In my opinion, I think some things we need to do for ourselves, and what God told us how to do it. But that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about that right now. But with everything that's coming up in the primaries and things like that, your heart mostly local, state, or federal elections? Which way do you lean the most, that you care about the most?
Grassroots, local. This is
L-
this is what affects us every day. The
Right,
local city council
right.
governance of the city. So definitely, and also, at the local level, when you have new candidates coming, a lot of them are coming out for the first time. They're learning the process. They don't have a lot of skills with fundraising and different things like that. Whereas state folks, they tend to be acclimated and have resources. They can fundraise pretty well, and of course, at the federal level, they can do all that as well. So um, people like myself, I'm in my 40s just like you. When I ran for the first time, I didn't have really anybody to guide me. I actually took a training after I ran my race. I got about 38% of the vote, which I'm very proud of. But after I ran my race, I took a course I went through a program called Emerge, and they
Hmm.
specifically train women of color to run for office. So it was a 6-month program to kind of go through a whole campaign process with you to help you be better if you decide to run or help somebody else run a race. That being said, I'm passionate about the local, because we need to build our folks that show up and want to run up. We don't need to push them to the wayside and say, it's not your time, or no, you can't do this. This is a closed off circle. It's time out for all that. So I'm so proud that every seat at the city council is being contested, as well as the mayor.
Hmm.
As you know, that's a big race. And then one of the things I'm pushing for is school board. None of the school board members have anybody running against them currently, and that's not good.
Right.
So we're going to hopefully hold somewhat of an interest meeting. Like, do you want to run for school board, and
Okay.
have somebody tell them about what that looks like and why you should run. So those things that we're building out and creating, these are things that, to my knowledge, haven't been done before. So creating those places for people to show up and participate in is very important.
Okay. This year in city council in Columbus is odd number seats, right?
Yes,
The odd number. So that's 1, 3, 7, and 9. Those 4 seats
and,
are up.
and five,
Oh, I forgot
one,
about
three, five.
5. Yeah, yeah. One, 3,
Uh-huh.
5, 7, and 9. Okay. So how is that going? How's that going for you? Because I'm sure you coordinate with everybody, or at least
Yeah,
trying
so
to.
absolutely. So folks have reached out to me to let me know they are Democrats, and I appreciate that. And we're here for them as much as we can be. Financially, I would love to be able to support them even more. Hopefully, we will be able to do that in the near future, help them financially. That's a big part of it. Money goes a long way in politics. If money
Yeah,
wasn't in politics, the world would be a better place.
absolutely.
we wouldn't even be.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't be I don't even know if I would be important, because we wouldn't even have this issue, these issues that we're dealing with now. But, so in one, we have two people running for that seat. I think that's a good mix.
Okay.
In three, we have three in that race, right?
Hmm.
So right now, let me give you an example. In three, we have three people that identify for the most part as Democrats.
Hmm.
And if they don't identify as Democrats, I can look them up. And all three of them do vote democratically, right?
Hmm.
So my thing is that when you have people that look like you and me, and most of the people that look like you and me are Democrats, you have to be careful because the powers that be, will send somebody randomly that live in that district to run against those three people because they know the black vote, which is that's primarily what the Democratic vote is here, is made up of the black base here. There
Right.
are some white Democrats here as well, and other the nominations as well, but it's mostly the black vote. So they'll send somebody to literally make the black vote be split amongst those three, and they come out the winner. So we
Hmm.
have to be careful with those type of things. But you cannot tell a person not to run. All you can do is have conversations and try to educate people, and yeah, be there to be there. Hopefully, to actually, what I'm planning to do is be there when there's a runoff. Because in most of these races, if there's more than three people, two, three
Right.
people, there's going to be a
Well,
runoff. So,
yeah.
chair, my job to get people back out in the runoff, and our runoff numbers are horrible. People do not come back out to vote in runoff. So that's a big job of mine. And these ones that are going to end in a runoff, we got to get the voters back out.
Yeah, because they need what, 50% or 51%?
50% plus one person. Yeah.
Plus one person. Wow.
Mhm.
And and you would think with a city with 204,000 people, it would be much easier than it is.
We have a poor voting record. We have about 30% voting record here. It's
Right.
horrible, right? So my sorority sister ran a couple of years ago for school board in District 7. No, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but she ran and she lost by like 3 votes. And that's like 3 votes.
And the crazy part is the
Ridiculous.
other 70%, well, I'll say 65% going to complain the whole time. And it's like, you can do
Absolutely.
something about it. And I promise you,
Right.
they make it easy for you to vote in Columbus, Georgia. There's no way that you can miss the vote. Just like
Exactly.
it is what it is. There's no way. So,
Exactly. But now you got to understand that it's up to us to educate the people, because if you are, making $12 an hour, you got
mhm,
little kids, you're doing all these things that are in your personal life. You may be a person who moves quite often because you end up not being able to afford the rent over there. So now you're in a different district. And
right,
so we have a lot of transient people in South Columbus that don't own their own homes and different things like that. So people are not really focused on politics. They're focused on surviving,
survival. Yeah, yeah,
survival. But at the same time, if we can garner their attention for a moment and slow them down and really connect with them and let them know that your life can change for the better if you engage in the voting process.
right. Well, because I was, of course, I'm always doing my research on my city. They say the median income in Columbus is between 53 and 54,000, and I'm like, where y'all get those numbers from? Because I know where I'm from, and I know what industries are there, and not many people are really, you know what I'm saying? Like, where they get
Right.
those numbers from? Like,
Exactly. Right. I have no idea where they get those numbers from. People are struggling here, for sure. As we
mhm,
know, we have the unhoused situation going on in Columbus. And
right,
then we also have young people that don't want to be here because Columbus does not, these industries don't want to pay them anything. So the facts are the facts. People want to leave because the money's not here. They want to go to a bigger city like Atlanta. People are not valued here.
right,
That's the thing. We have to be valued, and we have to stand up for what our worth is. For example, us as voters, being kind of not really told that we need to vote. I know coming up, it was not talked about in my household. My family worked and they worked to survive. It wasn't any conversations about voting. But once you get that mentality and understand it and connect the dots that you're struggling, and it's intentional that you're struggling because
Right.
people are in rooms making decisions and you're not at the table. And when you're not at the table, most of the time you're on the menu, right?
Right. Right.
So getting those people to truly understand that the dots all connect together and that your voice is your vote and that voting can end up really, really benefiting your life if you can get some folks in there that's going to fight for change, specifically in your district where you live at.
I'm gonna be honest with you. The one thing that I've always said, now as a profession, I'm a truck driver. That's my job. I drive a truck. The thing I'll say that Columbus really, really needs above anything else is an interstate. And I know for a while they've been working on the I-14 project, and
Yes.
the I-14 project will make a huge difference. The only thing I care about is this: do not take black people's land. Do not take black people's land and their property trying to run an interstate through there. But Columbus needs that interstate because there's a chance if we keep on the pace that we are. I know for a fact if Fort Benning were to leave, Columbus will shut down. If Total Systems, which has changed names a few times, if they were to leave, Columbus will shut down. If Aflac decides that it wants to move its office up to Atlanta, now I doubt if it will, but it will shut down. It's the largest employer in the city. But if you
Right.
have Columbus is off the path, it's off the interstate spur. So it goes from 85 to 185 and it dead ends right there at exit 1 in Victory Drive. So once you get there, you can't go anywhere else. You can't go anywhere else. So they need Interstate 14 and when Interstate 14, if it ever jumps off, that's going to be the thing that makes Columbus explode. Because as a truck driver, I know logistically speaking, if you have a product and it's going to cost me, I would rather pay $3,000 to get it versus 5,000 if I don't have to go off the beaten path to pick it up. We've had bigger
Right.
companies, WC Bradley, Charbroil, all of those companies that did business for a while, but after a while they went away and they found ways to make it cheaper. But Columbus really, really needs that interstate. But I know we don't have much time left. We got about 10 minutes left.
Well, I just wanted to say I actually had an opportunity to talk to the state representatives. They did a meeting, if you will, to let the community come and kind of take their concerns with them to the Capitol for the session that's going on. Um, and one of the things I said to them is that, you know, is there a way for you to bring money back to Columbus, to small business owners in South and East Columbus to lift them up, prop them up so that they can pay their employees more money, right?
Right,
Maybe do it for 3 years, some type of stipend for 3 years.
right,
And in 3 years, obviously, if they're holding on to their employees because they're making $18, a livable wage, then, after 3 years, they're set and they're doing well. What does something look like? It doesn't have to be exactly what I described, but we need a way. There's a plethora of money in Georgia that the governor doesn't want to spend. So we got
mm-hmm,
a lot of money tucked away, right, for a rainy day, I guess. But the money's there, and it's up to our elected officials up there to allocate where this money goes and stuff. So I know for a fact 31903 zip code is one of the poorest zip codes in the country.
mm-hmm.
And so to have our representatives being smart, and I love them. All our representatives up there, I'm friends with them. They're good people. But to come up with something creative to bring it back to Columbus to lift up those that are struggling would do Columbus quite well. It would help us a lot if we could get some funding from the capital brought back to Columbus. Not just for roads, not just for streets.
Okay. So you're absolutely correct because it's not like we don't pay into it. They're gonna always collect their money. So the best thing for them to do is go up there, bring it back to us. Um, so in your opinion, and like I said, we have 10 minutes. We got like 7.5 minutes left because I know you gotta get your baby back to her duty. Um, what are you looking forward to accomplish with this last year of your administration?
Well, it may not be my last year. Hopefully, if I'm up to it, hopefully they'll reelect me. The momentum that I have, I feel like that we're growing tremendously as a committee. But what I need to do, our goal is to make sure that we flip those seats at the
Mm-hmm.
city council at the
Mm-hmm.
local level, right? and we need to keep our democratic stronghold at the state level as well as at the federal level. We need to fight for our elected officials to stay in office, the ones that are there at the state and federal level. At the local level, there's different opinions on who's doing what, who's been there too long, who hasn't, done anything for their districts and whatnot. So it's a lot of talk about around that.
Oh yeah.
So oh yeah, so it's a lot of talk around that. And so, but our main goal is to get the voters out, educate them, encourage them, get them excited about it. And I think that if we do just a little bit of work, the opposite side is doing a lot of work to motivate them already.
Right.
Like,
Right.
people are being traumatized every day. They're like, and like we had a public service commissioner race last year, and people came out in droves for a race that's really not known about, right? These are the people that regulate energy in our state. And we haven't had Democrats sit on that board in about 20 years. When I
Right.
tell you people came out, it was like to turn the light on, you seeing all the roaches. I mean, I'm talking about we came out in droves and we voted those folks in because we had no power all year long. We saw what Trump was doing and his folks was doing, and we
Right.
really didn't have no power. The moment we had the power to vote, man, we jogged to them to them polls and voted. And so I think the energy is already there because people are just angry at what's happening in this country and what's being done to us. So if we just do a little bit of work and reaching the voters, I believe they'll move and get there and vote like they should.
Well, I hope, of course, I hope that you get another term as well. You seem to be focused, level headed, and pointing your heart and mind in the right direction. Um, hey, I just want to encourage you. I know you're going to be very busy in the next coming weeks, leading up to May. Are you guys hosting any debates or anything like that?
Yes, so we're trying to be strategic about it because um, I feel like there's going to be a runoff in the mayor's race. And so I'm trying to be strategic. If everybody, like the news station and a couple of other organizations, are going to be interviewing them, I'd rather be that organization that catch it at the runoff, because what we're going to do is excite people to come back out and vote in the runoff. If there's a runoff on the end for the mayoral race, then I think being strategic and putting it right there in the middle of the runoff will help bring the voters out by it being advertised and seen in the media and whatnot. So that's probably where I'm going to put the mayoral forum, is at the end of that race. And then we're also going to do a city council forum as well. That'll be April timeframe, late April or early May, before their election in May. And also, again, we're bringing the gubernatorial candidates here as well. So
Okay.
we're working behind the scenes to get things done and situated, because we definitely want the constituents to hear from the candidates, and we also want to make sure we pose the right questions for the candidates. Sometimes I think the questions are too easy. We got to ask the hard questions, because you don't have to be smart from what you see. If your eyes is open, you can see. You don't have to be smart to be on the city council.
Now, hold on now. I'm not gonna let you shade us from St. Louis now. I'm just playing. I'm not now. No, I'm gonna tell you, you're not gonna shade
Yeah.
us around her. Okay, we're not doing that around her. Okay. Okay, one last
Yeah,
question. I'm gonna
listen,
let you go.
I get to say that because I've been here 20 years. I raised my two children here. They
Okay.
graduated from here. Yep, my son
Okay.
went off to college. He's graduated, and my daughter's in college. So they weren't born here, but they were raised here. And Columbus has been good to us. So I get to put my mouth on them folks.
Okay. You invested again. Shout out to your son for being commissioned. Shout out to him. Shout out to him for being
Yeah,
commissioned. Your daughter's on the way. She's on the way to being commissioned as well. So
yeah.
I appreciate that. What can you say to somebody such as myself, as an independent or undecided voter, to help them lean in your direction? I'm gonna answer this question. I'm gonna let you go. You got 2.5 minutes.
I'm having a good time. I hate that I got to take my daughter back and
You can come
forth.
back. You can come back next month. You can come back.
Okay, yeah, let me
Okay.
come back to an update for sure. But
Okay.
what I would tell people is, there's a lot of misinformation out here, especially with social media just prevalent in everybody's life. I recommend that people get the right information first of all. Make sure that what you're reading or listening to is accurate information. Because what we saw yesterday with a young man being killed by the police, they will tell you something totally different, but your eyes saw what it saw, right?
Right.
They
Right.
Right. So what I say is do your homework, and reading is essential. People don't like to read anymore, but reading is essential. So educate yourself on the facts. Educate yourself on what Democrats stand for and what Republicans stand for. Before Trump era, I had a lot of respect for Republicans. We could talk and what now? Now we got the MAGA folks that want to fight you and carry on and all kind of stuff. And you can say my shirt is red and they'll say it's blue, and that's that, and they believe it's blue and it's blue. It's just a weird time we're in. But yeah, so doing your homework, making sure you know what you're talking about, when you're having a conversation, because you can have a conversation with someone based off of posts that you saw that was inaccurate. So get knowledgeable about the facts, and then make sure you understand what our democratic values are, because we are an inclusive party, which makes it hard for us sometimes because we want to take care of everybody. But we are an inclusive party, and we stand for everybody having access in this country, and
Right.
mainly access to health and a happy life, and having access to work and different things like that. So if you look at our values and it align with what your thought process is, then come on and join us. Come on and vote democratically.
All right. So when you come back, we're going to talk about how the parties flipped back in the day.
Okay.
Because that's very important. People don't really understand that. We're going to talk about how, our leaders were Republican back in the day, but actually they weren't. And so,
Right.
people try to use that to, we're going to talk about all that. So I'll get with
Right.
you. We'll schedule a day, and then, we'll talk about how we can get you back on here and possibly bring some of your other staff or whomever. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate you, and I thank you for
Yeah.
coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a joy, and like you said, it was going to be very relaxing and whatnot. It's been a joy
Okay.
being here, and I'll be back. So just let me know when I can come back and give you some updates, and we'll have that dialogue about the parties and whatnot, because people really don't know how that went down. And again, happy anniversary to you. I'm very proud of you, as a young man out here doing your thing.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Everybody, Miss Royal Anderson. Well, everybody, I hope you liked the interview. She's a great guest. Like I said, we'll bring her back. Now you guys know that I usually go a little bit longer, but tonight I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to add to or take away from anything that she said. I hope you guys were blessed by it. I hope that we were able to come up, hope we were able to enlighten you and help you out. Shout out to everybody. I love Columbus, Georgia. Y'all know that's my heart. You'll always be my heart. So until next time, this has been the Daryl Show. God bless you. God keep you. Hey, if you're out there, you got bad weather, please be careful. I hope this is a great week for you. Like I said, I'm snowed in right now. I only have to go to work tonight. So I'm happy. It is what it is. My bills are paid, praise God. And I guess I'll see you guys next week. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. We're going to see what God says. So God bless you. God keep you. And we see you later. This is the Daryl Show. Hey, little Musty. My bad. I forgot. I was too busy trying to get up out of here because, I'm off to the next thing. Check this out. I forgot to tell you, I need for you to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys being here. Every time you see this chocolate man with these headphones and this doggone black glasses, you're finna get some good quality content. We over here talking with some sense over here, okay? I want you to let all you people know. Tell them to meet me every Sunday night, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook, YouTube, every streaming platform you can find. Please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate your support, and I thank you. I'll catch you next time. All right? Peace.